recent history like this. So it's very important that we keep it up, and we try to get as much information as we can about it. Now we do have a video. Y'all don't have to watch it if you want to. Feel free to watch it before you leave, and it's very informative about the museum. So which was very an accomplishment, you know. And he had his own horse, and at that time it was worth $115. Most all the others were only worth $100. They paid them so much if they had their own horse periodically. And his, from all I've been reading, his was the most that I'd seen. Most of it was $100, and their clothing allowance was like $32 for 6 months. So, you know, we think we have it bad. But, you know, and they would just have their saddle, their blanket, their horse, their shoes, and most of them had what they call hardtack that they throw in there. It's like an old piece of dry bread or something, you know. And in the wintertime, where they've carried that around full of bugs and what have you. But it says that he was only absent sick one time, and did you know that let's see, I think he's the one, let's see here. He enrolled October the 28th in 1861. Of course, he had his own horse, and then he said he was absent on the second muster roll, and there are dates in here, and it's all in here. And it said that by March of 1862 is when he was assigned acting lieutenant. Then he went from acting lieutenant to second lieutenant. It says he furnished his own horse and equipments. This is what they put. Received no pay for horse since February 28th and was promoted to second lieutenant. And they did that every time they did the muster roll. And if they weren't there, they were absent. So if they were absent and nobody knew they were sick, they called them that they'd run off, you know. They said they deserted. He never did do that, but the other one did, but it come back, he was sick, and then they exonerated him at the end. It was like several years after, but you know, they did exonerate him. So let's see here.
Are they from Casey County?
Casey County. Yeah, from Casey County. And it also enlisted in his is that he has 3 medical certificates, a casualty sheet, and his orders was signed by General George H. Thomas. So that he actually signed his dismissal papers, his resignation papers. And you can see his signature, it's on a copy in here. And let's see, it said that it was told why he had to leave. There was a surgeon or the medic in the 1st Cavalry that said that he examined Mr. Watson and found him incapable of performing his duties as a soldier because of severe, I think he meant severe, but they put several. Pneumonia is what it meant, and enlargement of the prostate, and that his life would not get better, war wouldn't make it any better, it would get worse. And he was relieved. They sent this out June 29th, 1887, so he had resigned, and there's copies of that in there. And also, and then of course now you say this one was your great-grandfather? Your great-grandfather?
That's his great-great-grandfather.
Great-great-grandfather. And this is your...
John Green is his
is your
great-grandfather. John Green's, one of his older daughters was my dad's grandmother.
Mm-hmm. Now, yeah, I remember you told me about her. Now this is him. That's a picture of him. And then all his records are in there that I could find, copies from the War Department. So you can look over them, and that's yours. You keep that, okay? And then the same thing with John Green Watson. He was a private, and he stayed a private. Although his picture here, I think he wanted to be a lieutenant. So he had his picture taken in a lieutenant's jacket. So that's how they painted it. So, you know, I don't know, you know, what the deal was because I wasn't there. And he enrolled at Camp Dick Nelson, the same thing. They both enrolled in the war at the same time. And I thought that was just amazing, you know. So, and it said that he also fought in the Battle of Wildcat Mountain, which was in London. And that says it was during a campaign known as the Confederate Offensive, and it said it was considered one of the very first Union victories and marked the second engagement of the troops in the Commonwealths. So that was the second battle that was fought that, you know, says, oh, the military's here. the military is here. So, and he was the one that, when they had roll call at Glasgow in 1862, he wasn't there, but he was cleared by the adjutant generals later because they removed it off of his record. Because see, when they take these muster rolls, it's like taking roll in school. They call your name. If you're not there, then you're absent. And however they want to put absent, they call us, at the end of it, they'll say, well, he deserted. A lot of them deserted for a little while and then came back because they found out they didn't have anything anywhere else. You know, I guess. And some of them, now General Thomas's wife liked to travel with him. He took her about everywhere he went. But now she didn't come with him up here. His camp was right up here where the cemetery is. That's where Thomas's camp was. Then all his other regiments were out this way. They were out this way. And then when they pushed, and you can see from up here, when you get to this window, you can see the battlefield right straight across from where that's at. There's a big silo. Well, that's where down in that dip in that hill, that's where the actual battle was fought. It didn't take a long time to fight the battle. It took longer to clean up the area than it did to actually fight the battle. And it was kind of like the Confederates didn't have very much, the firepower, the guns weren't very good. And the North had a lot better ammunition and a lot better guns. They had these things that if they got wet, they wouldn't shoot, so they'd have to use the bayonets. So it would be like fighting close, like just to me and you. And I don't like that up close and personal stuff. Now they fight people; they don't even see them. They do it from the air or from a button. But I really, when he called and he wanted me to look up this information, I spent hours on this, and not even my family. But I couldn't turn it away because you can read between the lines, just and you think of how interesting it is for a family to find out all this stuff later on, and it's very. I mean, it's just. I wish I've got some uncles that I'm looking into now. I found that was in the Civil War, but I'm from Eastern Kentucky, and my family was from Olive Hill in that area, so it was a little different and you find that the Union was a little different life than the Confederate life. So, and Kentucky being divided, it was kind of from Lexington, Louisville, up in there, they were mostly Unionists. And as you got down this way more, they were mostly Confederate sympathizers. And he said he was furnished a horse and all the equipment. So, and then I found a little bit about from the federal census where he lived when he was 46 at District 3 in Casey County. And I put all those in here so that you all would have them. And I want you to have that too. And
Debbie, thank you so
you're
much.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome.
Really
I couldn't get everything I wanted because I'd have to put it in a great big book.
Yeah.
But if there's anything not right, I just took it off those records so you can pencil in the right.
There's a picture of John Green's daughter.
Oh, yeah.
This was my dad's great aunt.
Yes. She's the lady that they did the article on.
Right. Yeah, she was the last living daughter of a Civil War veteran
Right.
in Kentucky.
Right, and I actually have the newspaper clipping from this.
Yeah.
And if you all don't mind, I may put this in the newsletter, our next newsletter that's going
that'd
out
be
at the
great.
end of the month. I may do this little thing
Yeah.
and tie it all in together.
That'd be great.
Thank you very much. And we also have them on our display board on the Union. They are in here on the wall.
Yeah, we'd like
That's
to see
where
that.
he, and I'll walk you all through here. And if I get too talky, you tell me because I can shut up.
Ed was in Germany during Second World War and was in the Battle of the Bulge, part of it. And at the time he was there, my mom had her husband, her brother-in-law, 3 brothers, and 3 uncles all in the war, And she was carrying me the whole time. I was born while my dad was in Germany.
Wow.
And was like 8 months old when he returned home.
Quite a history here.
Grandmother, Betty Martin, was 91. She still rode side
General
saddle.
McClellan developed this saddle.
It's very similar to something like that.
Still make new ones.
91 years old, riding side saddle. Into your house?
She came to her house, yes. Larry was just a
Well,
tiny
you know,
baby.
Uh-huh.
DeRosa or DeRosa.
Yeah, their left leg is here, their right leg is here.
She was actually started at Everett and
Sometimes both legs are here.
They both enlisted for 3 years, and one of them had them the same age when they come out as when they went in. So you know that's sometimes just an error in what they.
My grandfather worked at the cannon factory, and they were losing so much of their food and stuff. He thought there had to be a different way, so he invented a lid that jar lid. And when Larry was in Boston, he found out where they had a patent on it.
Yeah.
And that saved a lot of, when I was growing up, my mother used those jars a lot. And he got shot by
I always thought that was
he
just a
had those
character.
helmets, you know, went over and down the line.
And she was the
inside
actual
the
Russian
helmet,
visitor.
steel helmet.
He was a guy, his name was Martin Van Buren Bates, and his family were all normal size, and he was normal size until he got in his late teens, and he just suddenly started growing, and he grew to be 7 foot 11 inches tall, and was perfectly proportioned, and there's a ton written about him. We found out, we only learned about him a few years ago, but a ton written about him, and so he was a captain in the Confederacy. And so he had this huge black horse, and they said there were just rumors that spread everywhere through the Union about this giant on his black horse. You know, he fought in the Battle of Perryville. I don't know if he was here, but he fought in the Battle of Perryville. And then his horse got killed, and they couldn't find another horse large enough for him, and so they discharged him. But he was, you know, and then later he joined a circus, and they traveled all over Europe, and a woman came to see him in Nova Scotia, and she was 8 foot tall in her stocking feet. He was 7'11". She was 8 foot tall, and the owner of the circus hired her on the spot. She started traveling with him. They fell in love. They got married at St. Martin in the Field in London, and Queen Victoria gave them each huge pocket watches made to size. There are pictures of all of this.
Well,
And one account says that she provided the wedding gown. I don't know about that, but they did at least 2 command performances for her. And then they came back and they settled in northern Ohio. But they're still, to this day, they're the tallest married couple ever. You know, because you'll sometimes have somebody like 7'7", marries a 5 foot woman, you know, and so.
Yeah, I know how that is. My husband's 6'5",
yeah,
and I'm 5'3".
Yes,
But it was River at that time. Well, he came to the Brown Lanier house, and that's where he set up his headquarters. It was also his headquarters, but it was they used it as a hospital too, where they would take wounded in and fix. Well, he was told by Crittenden not to cross the river until he got there. But he couldn't wait. He had to go. He had to go. He did not mind. Today they would put him in the caboose now. But he crossed the river, and when he crossed the river, there's like I believe it's 102 acres right in there where these cabin sites were. They started digging in and making what they call earthenworks. Well, they put these cabins, and that's where they had their artillery and they had their supplies. It was easy to get to because they could use the river, see? And they had the river at their back, and he felt safe because he didn't think anybody could get to him. So then from there, he started, that's where they stayed. And we are now in the process of getting those acres. We eventually want to put a walking trail around so that people can walk through there and see. There's something that they call LIDAR. It's a radar type thing. They got across the last time. Some Unionists will say that they fired a cannon and sunk the Noble Ellis, and others will say that they didn't want the Union coming across to get them. They wanted more time. So they actually set fire to the Noble Ellis and sunk, and it's still right in that vicinity today. At the bottom of the lake. So, you know, that's whichever side you want to believe.
I'm surprised.